Good morning. I'm Olivia, and I'm joined today with Howard and Tom, and we are going to talk to you today about how to Zoom. This is no means an expert guide, but it is our guide from our use on Zoom and our knowledge of Zoom. We've been using it for a little while now, conducting these webinars. We've used many platforms over the years, finding this one to be probably one of the better ones. Over the years, the technology, things have improved, and some of the controls and setting it up have become more simplified. So what we're going to do today is run through some of those bits with you, and we are going to first of all just let me get my slide right. There we go. So we're going to demonstrate. Tom's going to demonstrate for you today how to set up the free Zoom account. For those of you who haven't done this before, I realise there's loads of you on here that have done this and you are all past that stage, but obviously we want to show those who have never done this before how to do that. What you could use the Zoom for in helping to keep pupils engaged. And this will be obviously during these times at the moment, but it might be some ideas that strike with you and you think, you know what, I might do that when we go back to work and in between sessions, or you might have it as an additional source of learning resource that you might have at your disposal as part of your driving school business. So hopefully there's some good ideas. Obviously this is not an exhaustive list. There's going to be loads of others, and it's really the tools using Zoom and your creativity are the limits to this really. We'll also share a few top tips and advice with running a Zoom session. So there are a few points to consider. We'll run through a few of those with you, and hopefully that will give you a bit of food for thought as well. Obviously, again, not an exhaustive list, but it's something which we invite you to let us know your comments and thoughts and feelings on as well. Okay, now then, we got that right, didn't we? So now we're going to show you how to set up a free Zoom account. So we're going to do some computer wizardry behind the scenes here, and I'm just now making Tom the host, so I'm handing over the reins to Tom now. So you should now be in charge, Tom.
I am, yes, thanks. Cool. So I'm just going to, as Olivia said, I'll start with the basics on how you set up a free account. Yep, so everyone should see the Zoom homepage. So yeah, first thing to do is click on sign up in the top right hand corner. So the first thing that I'll ask you to do is to put in your date of birth. So, and then a few other sort of bits of personal information. So I'll just stop screen sharing for a second while I put my details in. Okay, so once you've put in your date of birth, it'll bring you to this page where you can enter in your email address. So I'm just going to put my work email in here because that's the one I'll use. Down at the bottom, you do have the options to sign up using Google or Facebook or SSO if you do. We just use our work emails at the DIA, so we haven't tried out those options, but you could use those if you wanted to. Okay, and once you've done that, you hit sign up. That'll then send an email straight to your email address. So again, I'm just going to stop sharing quickly while I go into my emails and get the details for the account.
I think it's all quite this bit's quite a quick process, isn't it, Tom? It's not
it's
just sort of email for what you're doing, name, date of birth. I think that's pretty much all the information they require from you, isn't it?
And then you put your name and stuff in a second. So
top secret work going on here.
There we go. So the email came through to my email address. I clicked on the link and it comes through to this page. So see, I'm not signing up on behalf of the school, so I'll click that. And now this is where you put in your details.
Yeah, passwords, at least 8 characters, 1 letter, 1 number, both upper and lowercase. No special characters, no sort of exclamations or anything necessarily needed by the look of it.
It also gives you the option now if you want to invite your friends to join Zoom as well. You don't have to do that, but they're just trying to get more people using it. So this is it. So once you've set up your account, this is where you'll be brought to. So this is your profile page. It's just got the details about your free account. So you see you've got a maximum of 100 people that you can have on any meetings that you want to schedule. If we go to on the left-hand side, you've got obviously all the options you can choose from. With the free account, you don't get access to the webinar option, it'll just be the meetings. And this is the meeting dashboard. So at the top here on upcoming. So if you schedule any meetings in, this is where they'll all be listed. So we haven't done any yet, so you can't see any of those there. Previous, they'll be the ones that you've hosted. So if you go on there, it'll list all the ones you've done in the past. You can go in and it gives you the options to download various bits of information about that meeting. You can download the chat history or the Q&A history from that and who attended if you need that. Personal room, it's not really applicable to us really. This is say somebody has hosts a lot of meetings during the day. A personal room is like a Zoom session that they can open and keep open for the whole day. And then people can jump in and out of that meeting rather than keep scheduling loads of individual meetings. So that's what that would be. And the meeting templates, we'll come to that at the end once we set up a meeting. So to schedule a meeting, nice and simple, click on the schedule meeting button in the top right. And then you need to fill all these details in. So you give your meeting a topic title, put in your description, when, so you pick your date and your time.
Sorry, Tom, I was going to say with the topic and the description. So yeah, obviously for the purposes of today, we're saying test. Yep. So this could be, highway code study session number 1, or, whatever you want to use it for.
That's it. So you choose your date and your time down at the bottom there. You've got make sure you select AM or PM, your duration. Now with the free plan, on Zoom, there is a 40-minute limit with 3 or more participants. What you can do is if you do go over if you are going to go over the 40 minutes, what will happen is 10 minutes before, so at 30 minutes, it will give you a reminder saying the session's going to automatically end in 10 minutes time. And then it will automatically shut off once you hit the 40 minutes. But you can then just go back and restart that session again, and whoever was on it can use the same link. So you can do that, but depending on what you're covering, I'm not sure how long your students, how much time they'll have. 40 minutes, might be enough time, or just be a case of scheduling in a few different meetings at different times. Time zone, obviously make sure you've got that set to London. If you're going to do a recurring meeting, you can click that. That'll give the options for you to schedule it in, or on set days and times. If you're going to have maybe a series or something like that.
That might be good because it's getting people in that mindset of a regular, like a driving lesson once a week or a couple of times a week. So you might want to have something with that pupil or with a group of pupils for a certain time every week. So that might be useful.
Yeah. Password. So on the free account, you have to have a password for your meetings. The password will be sent out in the invitation that gets sent out to whoever you're going to be joining you. Waiting room as well. We probably advise having the waiting room switched on. What that means is that once you start your meeting, you'll be able to start it, but nobody will be able to join until you let them in, basically. So you admit them when you want. You can admit them all at the same time, or you can do it one by one. It depends on what session you're running and how you want to do it.
Right, Tom, can I interrupt you there if I may? It's a couple of questions which need to be answered now, really. What is SSO?
I don't actually know. I'm not sure what SSO is.
That then.
Oh yeah, I've not used that before. Obviously, I know what Google and Facebook is, but SSO, I'm not too sure, I'm afraid.
Okay, another question we've got is at 40 minutes, how do you restart?
So the Zoom session would end, and the window you're in would close down, and you'd be taken back to your profile page. You just go back to the meeting, and you can start it again.
Right. Okay.
Just about the SSO, I've just done a very quick Google, single sign-on. So with SSO, after you've logged in via the SSO solution, you can access all company-approved applications and websites without having to log in again. So that's what SSO. So it probably wouldn't apply to the majority of us here.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Howard, while on this bit, or was that it?
No, that's it. Fine, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So next option you've got is the video. So you can turn that on or off for yourself or your participants before you start the session if you want to. And then lastly at the bottom, meeting options. So you can allow your participants to join at any time, but we probably advise against that because they might join before you do if you've got some things to set up beforehand. Mute them on entry, so you can automatically put them on mute when they come in, and then you would then take them off mute. And then again, recording as well. If you want to record the session, you can do, and that will once the session ends, it will download to the computer that you're using. Okay, so that's all the settings in this part to set up the meeting. So we hit save. And now the meeting is scheduled. We have a few more options that you can choose. So you can add it to your calendar if you want to by clicking on any of those buttons there. Just scrolling down. Obviously, you've got your password that's generated automatically. Now this is your invitation link. So this is what you would send out to the people you want to join. So you'd simply copy the invitation and copy and paste it into an email and email it out to the people that will be joining you. Okay, these are all the settings that we set beforehand. If you wanted to change these, you just click on edit meeting and that will take you back to the previous page and you can make those changes.
Are you able to share a screen with the student? Do you have to set that here to do that, Tom? Because I've got a question from Faisal. Can I see the screen of a student if I want to help them with hazard perception?
What you'd have to do is once you've launched the meeting, you would have to transfer control over to them, like Olivia did with me earlier, and then they could then share their screen.
So can this be done on a tablet or on a phone, or has it got to be on a computer?
Zoom you can use on a tablet. Yeah, I know definitely.
There is a Zoom app.
There is a Zoom app. Yeah, as Olivia says, so you can use it on both. That's fine. And then lastly, you can save your meeting as a template. So if you're doing lots of similar meetings, lots of similar sessions with your students, and you don't want to have to keep setting it up every time, if you save it as a template on the initial page that I showed you, that will list all your templates, and all you have to do is change the date and the time, and it will remember all the settings that you had. So yeah, and then to start it, you'd click start meeting. So unfortunately, I can't start the meeting live because the screen will go a bit weird because we're having a meeting within a meeting, if that makes sense. But we've got some screenshots we can show you that, and I'll explain what all the buttons mean in the live meeting. Just a few other things, obviously with Zoom, they do have a pro account. So with a pro account, you get a lot more things that you can do. I think the current price for it is £119.90 per year. If that's what you wanted to do, but I think you could probably get the most out of the free version. It's got a maximum of 100 people, depending on what sessions you want to do. I don't think they're going to go near to 100, but there is the option to use the pro account if you want to. Yeah, I think that was it in terms of setting it up. If anyone had any other questions about the actual setup before we move sort of back on to what the live session actually looks like.
No, we're up to go all the questions so far.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, what I'll do, Olivia, I'll pass it back to you if that's all right, and we'll go to those screenshots.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is the next one then, Tom, that you screenshotted.
That's it. Yeah. So once you've launched the session, this is what will come up. So this is one that me and Olivia did as a practice. So we're sharing at the minute the PowerPoint. At the top, you can see all the options that you've got. So you can mute, stop video, participants, Q&A. That's how you would share by clicking the share button at the top there. You can pause it, and then there's a few other options there as well. You can write on the screen, or you can use remote control. We don't really use that when we do them. And then the more button, if you click there, that will open the chat box. So if you go on to the next one, Olivia, then they can see what everything looks like. That's it. So If you click the participants, it will show you here, and this will come up and show you who's in the session. So you'll see any hosts will be here. If you click on attendees, then that will show you everyone that's joined, and that's where you can transfer control if you want to, or you can mute anyone if you need to. And then lastly, the chat box, which you open from the More tab there. That's so you guys are chatting in a chat box now, but that's how we see it as a host. When you're sharing your screen, the attendees won't see these two boxes. They're just for you to see, so that they won't see those. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. In the bottom right-hand corner, you have the end to end it, and that will automatically end. And if you are recording, then as I said, it will save straight away for you. And yeah.
Okie dokie. Lovely. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so bear with me I'm just having a little fiddle around with some settings in the background. Can you see, has it gone now from full screen to like a partial screen? Or is it still on full screen for everybody? Because my screen's changed. I'm just fiddling with some settings while we're talking.
I can still see the presentation, yeah.
Yeah, you can. Thanks, Tom.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, so what we've got on here then is, so what we're going to do now is go through a few bits and pieces with you on the next screen. So if there's any other questions, Tom or Howard, if you can just keep an eye on those, because I can't view those at this second because I've got the full screen view. Also, so these are some of the ideas that we've got about keeping, we use the word pupils, but it could be anyone, it could be any customer that you're training, ideas. So what you could do is one suggestion, using a still image or even a bit of a dash cam video or something to discuss. So you can have, say, a still image on the screen such as that. What we could then do from there is from that, as we said from the previous slide, you can discuss with your pupils some of the risks that you might face, what harm can come to you in such a situation, your passengers and the vehicle, risk you could create for other road users, any passengers, so all the sort of things that you would normally discuss in a car. Obviously you haven't got the luxury, or you might choose to do this, as I say, in addition to practical training as well. And so if you've got a pupil who's maybe getting a little bit stuck on something, you might want to use this kind of method to, go through with them, get a bit of video footage of a particular junction or a picture, and just, if they haven't got the pressure driving the car, they can just take that step back and have that discussion with you. It's a bit like where you might then go and park at the side of the road, obviously pre-COVID, and then go and, you might get out the car and just go and walk to a junction and go and have a little look at it if it's causing, if there's, something that you really need to address and help the pupil with. Obviously discussing the consequences of actions or inactions, and how to reduce and eliminate certain risks where possible. So you've got other ideas that you could use it for. So you've got run through a controls, like the DSSM, discuss the pros and cons of the methods behind setting up the vehicle in that way, using that method. So what would be the problems if you say adjust your mirrors first, or adjust your mirrors before you adjust the seat, that type of thing. Using the photos of your inside of your car, you can then put them on your PowerPoint slides, with learning and any sort of additional interest. So you can use the screen share function as we're doing at the moment, for that. You can use that for controls as well. So other controls, correct way to hold the steering wheel, correct way to use the ancillary controls as well. And obviously, palm towards me, palm towards you on gears, differences between, an electronic parking brake, a conventional, traditional parking brake, things like that. As I say, the limits to this is really your creativity and things like that. So other suggestions, you can talk about use it for observation of mirrors. You can look about the different types of glass, where the blind spot areas would be. By sitting in your car, you might want to do a little picture of where you're looking and why that blind spot, how big that area is. Pedestrian crossings, loads of other things that you can do on there. So You could also use, say, for example, a still image such as this for hazard perception. So you might want to discuss scanning. So your eyes being far, middle, near and rear, obviously to the sides as well, because we've got a junction here on the right hand side, bus stop on our left. So loads of things like that that you can use it for. Ask them questions to draw and what they do now. So how far ahead would you be looking here as a driver? What can you see ahead? What are the things you need to deal with first? What's in the distance? So encouraging them to what far, middle, near and rear looks like. You know, what kind of areas are we talking about here? How you could affect other road users approaching a pedestrian crossing. So, you know, there's nobody stood there at this moment, but should there be somebody there, then obviously, you know, you're approaching that crossing, your pupil's not properly prepared, they slam the anchors on, and you know, obviously we've got a problem. So it's all of those sorts of things where you can use things like this and to sort of drum into that importance of the MSM routine. So there's just a few ideas there really that you could use. You've got any bits on that to add, Howard or Tom, at the moment?
Nothing at the minute, just a couple of questions that I can come back to at the end about setting things up.
Cool. All right, thank you. And again, another picture. This one was actually done by my own dash cam. And this was about a month ago. It was a Saturday in Crawley. And there was must have been a major water main burst or something like that. It was a real, you know, as you can see the level of flooding there, it was very deep towards the inside lane of the roundabout. So people are taking the outside edge there to try and go around the shallow bit. So, you know, you could even capture on your dash cam some more interesting footage such as this. You might even want to show a little bit of video if you had something like that as well, and just discuss, you know, look, these are some of the things that we probably won't face every day on the lessons, or we might not ever get the opportunity to do, but you know, these sorts of things happen on the road. So how would you best deal with something like this if you're faced with this once you've passed your test? How would you deal with it? So you can have that whole discussion about that as well. You'll see that from the angle of where I am at the moment. You can't obviously tell, but I've had my left indicator on for some time, just checking down the left side. And I'm just sort of, it looks worse than it is. It looks like I'm actually half in the other lane. I'm not, it's just where the camera is on the car. But obviously I'm looking for, you know, my driver's on the left-hand side of me to maybe give me a space to move over slightly so I can negotiate that roundabout on the outside edge, because my exit is round on over to the right. So there are lots of things there that you can pull out of such an image and talk about there. So some tips and advice when using Zoom. So consider where you run the sessions, and like from where in your house or something like that. Consider what's in your background if you have your camera on. Your acoustics, so think about a non-echoey room. So think of a room where you've got a few, you know, soft furnishings to absorb some of the echo. Any background noise your end and theirs, obviously, because that can become quite a distraction. Who and what is in the background. So you might want to, you know, as a bit of a above and beyond. We don't do this for you guys, but you know, you might, because we're not doing the cameras at the moment, and but you might want to say, look, you know, just consider who or what's in your background. Ensure each session has a clear beginning and end, as you would do with any lesson anyway. How to manage if you have a big group in terms of everyone talking at once. So that's more like if you're holding a meeting like Tom described. These webinars are more of like a sort of a lecture style, aren't they? So you have the opportunity to ask questions, but where you don't have the opportunity at this moment to talk back to us whilst we're presenting to you. So webinars is a little bit more presenter mode in that respect. So if you are holding that meeting and you have that interaction live, then if you've got a group of you, then you'll need a few ground rules as to how to manage that session. There's a few bits of information down there that you can use as well. Also, can I charge for these sessions? So yeah, you can. I mean, providing a service for your learners in between lessons, when lessons resume, and also times during a lockdown when we can't, we shouldn't deliver private practical training at this time. So considering pricing that's appropriate to online. Obviously you haven't got as many overheads as you would do running your vehicle. So if this is in addition to your practical training or whatever, then you've obviously got to just give some consideration, do a little bit of background, a little bit of homework, a bit of research into those costs, what you might charge. You might decide to do this for free. You know, if you're using a free account, you've got no cost to recoup, then that could be something which you would do as a addition to your driving school business and your service that you provide. Consider some simple terms and conditions for these sessions, for example, so you know, around payments, refunds, and whether you're allowing other people to access these sessions as well, because obviously, you know, you might get asked that question, so to have these things in mind ready. So again, you might want to present a session where you are not actually presenting to anyone in particular, you're just going to record a session, and then you might want to then release that later on as an additional learning resource for people to you know do. So for example, a controls lesson or setting the car up, for a very quick and simple example of that. Okay, so unless has anyone got any questions on that? Is there Tom or Howard? Howard, you still about in the background?
We've got a couple of questions on the side, actually. We've got a question from Mike. It says, would you be able to run a hazard perception test whilst in presentation mode? Could you share that while you've got your screen on? Can people actually interact with you doing a hazard perception test?
I think so. Couple of bits to that answer. If you are going to be creating your own, so for example some dash cam footage and things like that, then yes, you can have a meeting set up, you can present a video or slide or your screen sharing, so you'd run whatever a video or footage or whatever it would be from your screen, you'd hit the screen sharing option, and then the people in your meeting would be able to then view that like we're doing here. If you are then using a third party's product, it will be a case of making sure that you're allowed to use that product in that way. I would say. So I would say that would be a question to go back and just double check that you're able to do that using, say, you know, a Theory Test Pro or something like that. Are you able to then broadcast your screen on that, doing that? Howard, or have you got any additional comments on that?
The only thing I'd say is that if you're actually going to be doing recording with a pupil driving, then just make sure that if you're going to do the recording and you're going to use that footage, that you've got permission to use that footage.
Yeah.
So if you're doing hazard perception, you say you've got somebody else driving and you're trying to use an example, then just be sure that everyone's happy for that recording to be used. So you've got to get it writing from the person who's driving and say, yes, it's okay. You don't have to display that anywhere, but as long as you've got it somewhere, if anyone asks, at least you've got the permissions you require.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Howard. And it's almost like it's a permission form, isn't it? So you're going to say that this is what I'd like to use this recording for, this is where, this is how, this is why, and whether and where it's going to be accessed, who's likely to access it, and how long it's going to be up for. So there's lots of things there. And the Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO website, has got some great information on that as well. So I would always invite you to go and look at their information in more depth on these sorts of things. But yes, as Howard's rightly say, you do need permissions, written permissions as well. But you do need to make sure that you are drawing out some of those boundaries as to what the usage of that footage would be. Chris
has actually mentioned that the Theory Test Pro are happy for that product to be used on Zoom.
Ah, fantastic. Thanks, Chris. There you go then. If that's the case, then we haven't checked that ourselves. That's obviously, so if Chris is wrong, we'll all go around and beat Chris up. But no, that's perfect. Thank you, Chris. Any other questions from anyone on anything?
Yeah, we've got, you need to talk this through, I think. Janet has come in and said, did I miss a step? How did we get to just a minute. I've got my screen's frozen. Just 1 second. Right. How did we get to PowerPoint screen share? Now, I know that was a little way to go, but now's a sort of pertinent time. If you can talk through how you got from you talking to us with a slide, etc., and then screen sharing, which you're now doing, your screen sharing. So how have you actually turned the screen share on?
Great question, Janet. Thank you, because that was the little missing piece of jigsaw that Tom alluded to at the beginning. So as Thomas said at the beginning, he was doing his screen share with you and showing how to set a Zoom account up live, which he did. And then as he explained, I'm not sure if you heard that bit, you might have come in a bit later, but he said that, well, I can't launch this and show you because we'd be holding a meeting in a meeting and it makes the screen go a bit odd. So that's the only bit that we can actually share with you on here. But once you go launch this meeting, and you've got your, you sound on, whether you're going to use the camera or not, that type of thing. Then you've got your little control panel, as we showed you on, hold on, control panel, see on this screen here at the top. So you've got, is it the previous?
It's the green one.
Yeah, it's the green. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So new share, or it might say screen share. So that you click on there, and then what it will then do, it will come up with another window, and it will say, well, what bit do you want to share? It might say, if you're using Google Chrome, for example, as a browser, it might say, do you want to, because you might have like more than one tab open at the top. It will then say, well, what tab do you want to share? What page on your browser basically do you want to share with other people? Or you might want, or it might, if you've only got one open, like you can see that we do on here, for to simplify, you would just say yeah, and it might then ask you, do you want to share part of that screen, or do you want to share the whole screen? So so it gives you a few options there. So if
you could also choose, if you have PowerPoint open, you could choose PowerPoint and it would share what's in PowerPoint, or you could choose Word and it would share what's in the Word document you've got open.
It will share whatever's on your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we confirm on this that this is just not the pro account that you can screen share? This is the free account as well.
Yes, I believe so. Isn't that right, Tom? It's the
yeah. You can share your screen on the free account. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that's given you some more ideas. What I would suggest you do is use this information we've given you today, and then have a little play around with maybe family, friends, something like that. You might, obviously we haven't gone into how to set up a PowerPoint presentation, or we use Google Slides as well, but that's something which, quite simple. You might want to have a little play around with that, or as Tom said, you can share literally when you hit the screen sharing option, whatever is on your screen, it will give you the options to say, do you want to share this, or do you want to share that? And so then that's where you can click on that option. So you've just got to have probably a bit of practice with that to make sure that you are, it's quite simple, but make sure you're actually sharing the right thing. So this is a brilliant time where we can't see our family and friends so much. So I'd have a little practice with that as well. Okay, any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, we've got Faisal asked a question. Do you have Zoom presentations to provide us, like roundabout vanishing points? Faisal, the situation with us is that these what we're showing now are not built in Zoom. They are PowerPoints that we upload, or we actually take Zoom to, as it were. So you can make your own PowerPoints and incorporate them into the Zoom meeting. So you can do your own roundabout presentations or junction presentations, or any presentation you want to, dual carriageways, anything you want to, and take Zoom to it, as opposed to building it within the system.
Yeah, Zoom is just the tool to be able to communicate with other computers, other people, and it has a few sort of functions and tools within there which allow you to do certain things, and we've highlighted some of those today. Whatever content, Zoom doesn't have content, so that's where you put your content together, say separately. You would have some a Word document, PowerPoint slides, Theory Test Pro, as Chris has said, something on your screen that you want to share content-wise with whoever it is you're going to do the sessions with, and then you would do the screen share. So I want to share my screen on this section. just confirm to the other person that they can see the screen okay, and then away you go. Like we do on here, where we're going backwards and forwards between these slides. These are slides which, you know, we put together in a Google Slides, which is Google's version of PowerPoint. Same thing effectively, and we put those together separately on all of our webinars, and then we just use Zoom as the tool to broadcast that. So hopefully that's clarified it a little bit more for you. Anything else?
Yeah, a question for Tom, possibly it's a bit more technical, this one, Tom. How would you share a screen with a tablet or iPad when you can't select tabs as you would with a PC or Mac? Is this just a question of ensuring that you do a run through beforehand to ensure that you can get everything to work, or is there something specific with iPads and tablets where it's done a different way?
Yeah, so if you're, I've never used it on an iPad before, so but I'd imagine, yeah, if you're in the app and you go to share screen, it would give you some options that you could choose from, again, like you do on the PC. So if you've got other applications open, perhaps it would let you choose those. But yeah, that's something we have to check. I haven't used it on an iPad before, so I'm not sure.
I haven't. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Sorry. It's talking over you, breaking my own rules. I've got my phone at the moment, my iPhone, and I've got the Zoom app, free app on it, and I've got new meeting, join. So join another meeting. You can schedule stuff in, and it's got an option there to share the screen. So then it will say Zoom would like to access the microphone. Zoom would like to access this and that. So you give it permission, and then I haven't used it, like Tom's saying, we haven't actually used this one before because we do it on our laptops for purposes of for you guys. But I don't imagine it would be too much different because you are able to, there is a share screen function on there. So again, what we could try and do in the meantime is have a little play around with that ourselves, and just out of interest. And we invite you to do that as well. That would be because we understand not everyone uses laptops or PCs. It's more of tablets and smartphones. But it does. The Zoom app does have the option on there. But obviously not actually done that, so I can't talk you through the steps. But I imagine it'd be very similar.
Yeah, Chris has actually been quite prolific here and said you can practice in a room on your own, which is really useful. You can also use it to record lessons to send to pupils. You can't share screen on the app, but you can only share content, which is photos or filing systems like Dropbox. So there are some restrictions to it on certain media that you use it on by the look of it. So it's just a question of practicing in the room, but obviously the Pro will have different functions to the free set. Yeah,
exactly. So any other questions from anyone, because that's all the content that we need.
Yeah, I've been looking at this chats as well, and there's nothing significant in either chats, and all the excuse me, all the questions have been answered. So well, okay. We haven't got any others here that are on view at the moment.
Yeah, so as we say, we hope that's been a little bit helpful, and you don't have to sign up for the Pro account. Have a little look about some of the main differences. Tom's highlighted some of those for us today. You can use the free Zoom account. So if you're just doing a one-on-one with a pupil or someone like that, or a parent or whatever it may be, then the time limit shouldn't be a factor with that. But obviously if you're doing 3 participants or more, that's when it starts. They'll give you a 30-minute warning to say this is going to shut off in the next 10 minutes, so after 40 minutes. So you've got some options there. It'll be a case of thinking about how, what you want to do a lesson on. Have you asked your pupils? You might have a pupil that says, look, I'm really struggling with this, and you might think, what, if I got some pictures or a little video about this, and I might want to just upload that to my share my screen, then I could do that, and we could have a little bit of a chat session and to work through that and ask them all the questions that you need to. Obviously, with them, the advantage is you can do that with the pressure off, so they're not having to drive at the same time as well. So it's you know, it's quite a good tool for things like this. It's not, there are many limitations to it. It's never going to be anywhere near doing anything practical, but in car, but it can have, there is an awful lot of upsides to it, as we say, it can sort of help reinforce theory learning. And if you've got a situation, some of these pictures that we've shown you today, you might then want to think, well, you know, how does that relate back to theory? You know, what does highway code say about that? So it's, again, it's things that you would come out with in your lessons. It's that conversation that you'd still have, but obviously just using a different medium. So unless there's anything else from anyone at the moment, how about we start thinking about winding down the session?
I think somebody did ask if they can, if you can charge a fee for a Zoom class through Zoom. I believe you have to have the pro account to do that. You can't do it on a free meeting. You can do it, but you can do it through the webinars. So if you had a pro account, you could add the webinars and then you could charge for it that way.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
And we've also got some very, very useful information from Sedana. It says, it's not a question, this, but your teenage kids can help you too on setting up the Zoom. So just remember that.
Absolutely.
If you get stuck, there's always a teenager around somewhere.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. Thank you, Stana. That's great. Absolutely. Yeah. If you're not sure, ask one of your pupils. They'll probably be able to help you. Yeah. Obviously, you want, if you can avoid that, then yeah, do so. You want to save a bit of face where you can, but and that's the idea of this session. But absolutely, if you're in a session, you think, oh goodness, you know, I can't remember how to do this. They'll probably be able to help you with it. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, guys. Okay, so we're going to start looking at up and coming. So next webinar for next Friday is a guest speaker, Steve Ramsden, to talk about B+E. He's worked across various sectors and he's got an experienced trainer. So he's going to be on with Howard and myself next Friday. Following Friday, the 27th, will be the Information Commissioner's Office. So all about data protection. So there's quite a lot they're going to get through. We're going to have, I think, 3 panelists from the ICO on as guests. So that's going to be really good. So what we encourage you to do is submit your ICO and B+E related questions to us in advance, as you normally do. I think that's training@driving.org, isn't that? That's correct, isn't it, Tom? We're happy for them to send them to that email.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Any questions in advance? Yeah, training@driving.org.
Training@driving.org. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay, and so do that. We've also got some guest speakers come up in December. We've got West Midlands Police coming on just before Christmas as well. So that also is going to be an interesting webinar as well. So keep up to date with what we've got coming up for you. And as we say, you know, we appreciate not all of you will be able to catch the live ones. We understand that, but that's why we record them, so you can all access those for free. So we've got our online virtual classroom courses coming up. We've got the first round of series of 4. They are all sold out pretty much, but we're just about to release some more dates on those. Just on those, I know on the marketing, it did sort of look a little bit shallow in terms of, you know, lesson planning, risk management, teaching and learning strategies. There's going to be way more to it. Howard and I are going to be linking back to things like the national standards for driver and rider trainers. We're going to be using case studies. We're going to be talking through certain things in certain scenarios. So it's not a box ticking exercise to, you know, get you to say, right, at this point, you need to say this will do this. Obviously, there is a criteria there for that, the SC1 marking form, and the ADR1 document also goes through about, you know, how you can actually show competence with these 17 lower competencies on that SC1 marking form, but it will go deeper than that. We just wanted to say, look, broadly, this is what we're going to be talking about on these sessions. So they are £25 inclusive of that, and they are 2-hour sessions. We will give you a little comfort break halfway through. And as I say, these ones are quite full now, I believe. I don't think there's any spaces, there might be one. But what we're going to do, as I say, very shortly, release some more dates on those. We will be doing some different subjects as well. So we'll hopefully get some different members of the team involved to share their expertise on different areas of your business and things like that that you might want to do a little virtual classroom on. So we've got those. And yeah, DIA support as members. You get access to the support, so we'll, we can go through some various things with you and help you as much as we possibly can with every aspect of your business. So that's it from me. Is that everything from you guys? Just checking one last time.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Right then. Well, thank you everyone for attending on this Friday. Really great to have you here. And as I say, the recording will be up probably early part of next week on our academy. Have a little look on there as well. There is also another quite useful one that we did in March, April this year, when we first went into lockdown, about engaging with your pupils. So you might want to have a little look at that off the back of this one as well, just to get some further ideas. But if you want to discuss anything with us, then you know where we are. Where you can email us at training@driving.org, or if you want to ask specific questions about this, then you can also email us at support@driving.org as well. Thank you for listening.
For those of you who've got any time on your hands, if you'd like to go and, the members, that is, DIA members, go and have a look at the COVID mark.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we're in lockdown again now, but people will be looking for everyone to be squeaky clean when we all come out of it. So if it's a good time now to go and have a look at the COVID mark, see if it's there for you, if it's going to suit your business. It is a marketing tool, and it would be very beneficial to you to have a look at it now while you've got the downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Howard. Okay, right. So I think that's it from everyone. So as I say, thank you so much for listening and being here today, and I wish you a happy rest of your Friday, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.